Welcome everybody to another eye-opener. This is Market Wealth Daily's quick little video chats that we do with top traders, and we've got Blane Markham here with us today. We are going to go over a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market this morning. We're going to talk about what is expected throughout the day. We will even be looking at a couple trades. So really glad to have you here. Blane, thanks for joining us. I was mentioning as we were both kind of connecting before we fired this thing up that I absolutely love your new background. Great, glad you picked that Zoom background that looks so just relaxing and peaceful.
Yeah, no, these brand new AI generated backgrounds are just unbelievable, you know. No, obviously on the road working remotely here this morning, so sun's still coming up. It's a little early where we are, but up bright and early following the markets and super excited to be here.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, definitely wanted to get your take on everything that's going on. When I saw Friday, I had that same just going over the top of the hill on a roller coaster. My stomach dropped, and then here we get to the bottom. We're swinging right back up, just digging a hole and filling it back in. We have been through this before, but man, does it rattle you if you just are not locked in. So, I want to get your take on it and see what you're looking at.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. The last couple months, we've been kind of, I don't want to say been on autopilot, but I think a lot of investors kind of just, kind of got numb to, just like the day after day, new high, new after new high, and just continuing to see markets trend higher. And we really hadn't had a pullback of note. We did have a little bit of a decline on the kind of the first trading day of August, but despite that, it's just been such a consistent grind higher. Really coming out of those April lows from earlier this year that things were just kind of, it seemingly was on autopilot, just moving higher. And then, of course, Friday came around after we had set numerous new all-time highs just last week. And, as everybody knows, John, if you go ahead and enable the screen share too, I was just going to pop a chart up while we're talking.
Yeah, I'm
But
good if I did my job, but yeah, thanks for the reminder.
no sweat, no sweat. No, it's all good. Um, but of course, Friday rolled around. We opened at new intraday all-time highs on several of the indexes. But as we know, shortly thereafter, we started to get kind of some reminders of what trading from earlier this year, kind of a reminder flashback to April of this year. We were seeing tariffs and trade disputes with China and 100% tariff rates, and I think the market definitely kind of got rattled because the VIX had remained so low for so long, really had not seen a spike in the VIX. Volatility was remaining super, super low. And then boom, all there it came right on Friday. Of course, that was the day we were traveling. So, there was not too much we could do 30,000 feet up in the air. I saw what was going on, but it's like, well, the markets are, having a long expected, bit of a cooling off. Again, had several periods where, as you can see, the S&P had clearly been trading above the upper channel there on numerous occasions. Again, we had just been in this period of just ripping to new all-time highs. Obviously there were a lot of questions popping up around valuation and, people throwing out bubble and bubble here, bubble there. Is this market a bubble? All those conversations were happening. So, I think the pullback was healthy. We just kind of needed a catalyst and a reason for it to, ultimately happen. And so we finally got that on Friday. But, of course, it was all kind of driven by several social media posts from the administration. That's kind of what got traders on edge and uneasy. And then, of course, over the weekend, John, we saw, I guess, maybe some further uncertainty. I'm not sure if really anybody kind of knows where we stand on that matter right now. Because then we got some more over the weekend saying that things were all good. So, of course, you see a big pop this morning, pretty much across the board. We saw it in the futures last night. There were massive rally in the futures last night, pointing to a big open higher this morning. That's what we've gotten, and we've continued to rally. Here we are sitting near session highs right now, at least looking at the S&P 500. So it looks like this rally starting to gain some steam. Looks like traders kind of digested things over the weekend. Kind of taking a breath, let the dust settle, and have evaluated where we are. And just to put things in perspective, despite Friday's drop, we're trading exactly where we were about 2 weeks ago. So it's, we had gained a lot of ground. We gave up a little bit on Friday, but all in all, still, sitting pretty nicely on the charts.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at beginning of August, beginning of September, you can kind of see these resets. And like I said in the beginning, it rattles your cage, but man, is it an opportunity. If you can kind of put that lightning in a bottle. These are very the market's been consistent in the way it responds to these. So if we can
Hmm.
keep that consistent response, this is a big profit opportunity. Blaine, I wanted to pause for just a second because I know we got a bunch of folks with us today. I wanted to make sure I reminded everyone. We have a really big announcement. There is a system that you guys have been working on, and it's not a new one. It's one that you've been doing for a while. This thing has been blowing the doors off in this market. And we all kind of huddled internally to see what we could do to get this out to everybody, and we scrambled to get a presentation together, and it's going to be next Monday, right? And
It
and
is. Yep.
yeah, and
Exactly right. Yeah.
we're gonna walk through how this thing is working right now. It is just mind blowing. It's been great to watch. The challenge is we tend to typically spend a lot of time preparing these presentations and everything. We just don't have the time because it's working so well right now. We're just jumping in right into the deep end. We're going to go live, and I know it's going to be you and Helene are going to walk through this thing, and you're going to kind of pull back the curtain. We're going scriptless.
Yep.
This would be a bit of a refresher. It's going to be probably more along the lines of what you guys are used to in these sessions and what you're used to in the Trade of the Day live sessions. Uh, just speaking right from the heart and telling exactly what's going on. So keep an eye out for the registration link for those. We definitely want the folks that have been with us and been loyal to us in these eye opener sessions and the Trade of the Day live sessions to be able to get access to this because it's going to be a big deal. So just a quick heads up to keep everybody looking out for that. But Blaine, sorry to interrupt. I wanted to make sure I shared that with everybody.
Oh, no, no, I appreciate you bringing it up. Yeah, definitely didn't want to forget to mention that today's call we're having right now. So I appreciate you mentioning it. But to pivot back to just talking about the market here, John, as you were saying, to kind of build on, the market's shown you clearly, in the past 6, 7 months, really ever since we've come out of that April low, there's a lot of buyers waiting on the sidelines, willing to buy these dips every time they happen. You can see just countless examples of it on this chart right here. Every time we get a little bit of a dip, the market pulls back to, roughly the middle counter channel, maybe even slightly below. Buyers, the market has clearly been of the buy the dip mentality. And I think we're still seeing that right now. Of course, they need, something to reassure them to come in to, step in to buy that dip. But it seems like that's what's happening again right now. Of course, we had a pretty big, reset on Friday, but we're seeing buyers flock back to the market right now. But despite all that, we still do have a lot of uncertainty, John. We do have beginning of earnings season kicking off this week. Really tomorrow morning is really the big beginning of it. A lot of the major banks are going to kick off. Just as typical, a lot of the financials generally are the first reporters. So a lot of the major U.S. banks are reporting starting tomorrow. We're supposed to get some additional major macro data this week that certainly could be market moving as well. There's some inflation reports. There's a retail sales report. And of course, we have that jobs report that was due, 2 weeks ago, and we still have not gotten because of the government shutdown. So those are, TBD. Obviously, that's somewhat dependent on what's going on in Washington and if everybody can come to the table and agree and shake hands and get a deal done. But so certainly a lot of catalysts this week. There's a lot of geopolitical things going on. So point being, there's a lot of uncertainty still in markets, and it's certainly fueling one trade out there in the markets. I'm sure you've probably seen this one, John. I'm sure the folks watching at home have probably heard a lot about this, but it's the gold trade. Gold has been just ripping higher. It's just been kind of on a relentless march higher. This actually is not a chart of gold. I can pull one up real quick just to show you. Just show you the gold ETF actually. So this is a good representation. It's not the actual spot price of gold, but it's representative and indicative of what the value of gold's been doing this past year. So this is, you can see it's just been flying higher. It ripped to new all-time highs yet again today. It's been a very, very consistent trend. Now, as you can see clearly here, technically speaking, it's been this way for quite some time. The price of gold is way outside the upper counter channels. It looks a little extended according to these charts here. The RSI is confirming that down below. But again, it's been that way for quite some time. But still, because of that, I'd be a little hesitant to step in, seeing, gold, finally powering through some new all-time highs once again, being this further extended out. But the way I was going to look a setup for today, John, was with one of the gold miners. So, of course, they're pulling this commodity out of the ground. They're finding it. They're digging this rock out of the ground, selling it. And of course, if gold is continuing to rally in price like that right there, that's going to just translate directly to better bottom line profits for these guys, these gold miners here in the space right here. So obviously, this is a massive tailwind to the gold miners as well. They typically are a little higher beta. They move a little bit more than the price of gold. So this one we're looking at right here is Newmont, ticker is NEM. And of course, you can see very clear here. Anybody seeing this chart can see this is a very powerful uptrend. It very much like the price of gold, it has been just on a consistent march higher, new higher highs and higher lows. Technicals are lining up great. You can see our trend line, buy signal there with our 21-day and 63-day EMAs there. Just a fantastic looking chart and trend line buy here. And also, even though the stock is currently, if it were to close at current prices, this near session highs right now, if it were to close at that level right now, that actually would be a brand new all-time closing high for Newmont. So it's it pulled back last week, on Thursday and Friday, got down to just about that middle Keltner channel, and today's trading starting to rally yet again. So there's a lot of reasons, a lot of tailwinds for the reason that gold is rallying, and I like that. There's a lot of several different fundamental tailwinds pushing it higher. The technicals look great. Everything's kind of lining up. So the way I was going to look to go ahead and play this one here is actually with this call option purchase right here, John. So I landed on specifically the November 7th right here, and it's the 85 strike call is the one I was looking at. So that's the one I zeroed in on. And you can see it's currently, it's just a touch in the money. We're looking at the 85. So, it's slightly in the money. It's not super deep in the money here with this one, but going to go ahead and I need to set my order up. Looks like I had that set to a short call. Don't want to sell to open that one. Don't want to be selling to open naked calls here. Make sure I'm placing my order right, John. Like I said, it's a little early here, so the coffee hasn't kicked in yet. But you can see here, looking to buy to open this 85 strike call right here. It's currently at about 6.85. So let's go ahead and place one contract of that one here live. But that was the trade idea I had for today.
That's a great one. Always interesting to get just a little bit below the surface, pun intended, with a gold mining trade, but get a little bit beneath the surface. You see gold, and you can see this in other moves in the market, whether it's gold or it could be another commodity, it could be actually a stock. The AI is another one that you can see this kind of thing where you get the laggard. So it's really hard to catch that breakout that you didn't expect, right? And then you feel like you might have missed out on the big chunk of it. But if you look a little bit below there, you'll see that move is going to pull other pickers up with it. And you can spot some of the ones that are going to let that gravity kind of pull it along. This is a great example of that. So the mining comes great way to take the gold, let the gold confirm that momentum is there. Now, there's no question about it in these, but then look behind it. What's going to get pulled along with it? And this is just a really smart approach to trade with, a really great way to find winning trades, and also to kind of, not be chained to everything. You don't have to get the trade the moment, the gold move, the moment it happens. It's gonna create other things that come right behind it. So just smart trading here, Blaine. Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's you laid it out perfectly. With the commodity price rising so much, this is clearly one of those that is going to benefit, kind of, right in tandem with it. And again, with all the uncertainty going on, the shutdown concerns, fiscal policy concerns, central banks around the globe continuing to stockpile gold at, a near record pace, holding more than they seemingly ever have. Also just a safety trade, with some of the volatility of late, stock prices having just ripped higher in many markets around the globe. People are looking to diversify, put some assets in more of a safety trade. So there's a lot of things that are really working in gold's favor right now. And again, it's a little technically overbought, looking at the actual gold price itself. But with the miners here, even if, gold kind of consolidates, trade sideways a bit, if you just continue to have those elevated prices in the commodity, these guys are going to keep doing well. So
we're going to be keeping an eye on it, that's for sure. Again, watch closely, watch the Telegram channel, watch your emails, keep an eye open for any way that you keep up with what we're doing. And we're going to put a link out there to this crazy cool event that is going to be next Monday. Excited about it. Also taking some feedback from everybody. We want to make sure it's an event that gets right to the point. There's going to be stuff happening fast and furious in that thing. Oh, another really important thing. We are not going to be able to produce a replay for this. So if you guys are interested in it, make sure you're in the session next Monday. We'll get you the time. I believe it's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern, but we'll confirm that in the link and when you're ready to sign up. This is big stuff, guys. So hope everybody can be there. Blane, thanks again. Thanks for jumping up so early in the morning and for, catching up with us while you're traveling. You're a workaholic. We're going to get you an intervention and try to cure you one of these days.
Oh no, I appreciate it, John. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to be here. Glad I could sit down and come back and chat. I know it's been a little bit of time since we were able to do an eye opener, so glad to be able to get back in this groove of doing that and be able to sit here and talk about what's going on in the market and put my thoughts out there. So I appreciate you having me.
All right, everybody take care and be smart out there trading. Thank you.
Yep, take care, everybody. Have a good one.